Excuse me. Excuse me. That grin tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Tit-for-tat politics, where one party is criticising the other party for failure to...
Was Mad Kemi Badenoch really hit with not just one fantastic zinger, but at least two fantastic zingers from Monday, where we start with her draping herself in the Union flag while pretending to care about the victims of child grooming gangs. Well, a Sky News journalist really exposed her Achilles heel by doing something called journalism.
You just said that you didn't want to leave any stones unturned. And those words were used by Sajid Javid back in 2018 when he ordered what you're calling for, which was a review into the ethnicity of grooming gangs. That found 2 years later that most of the perpetrators of group-based sexual abuse were white. But it also found a lack of data. And at that point, Priti Patel said that you would, as your government, improve data gathering. Are you saying today that you actually failed in gathering data, improving the gathering of data, that inquiry was a whitewash, and that you did leave stones unturned when you were in government?
What I'm saying is that despite a lot of work and a lot of effort, there is still more to be done. I'm not here to build a time machine and go back in time to see what extra we could have done there. We did what we did. We did what we thought was enough. More came out. What do the survivors need now? That's what we're here to talk about. Thank you.
Yes, our KemiKazi has no interest in building a time machine, and judging by this interview with Channel 4, I can understand why.
It's always been really important. When I was in government, this was something that I was concerned about, but there was an inquiry that was going on, which I thought would bring out a lot of information and help us to sort this out.
The thing is, you've been in Parliament for 8 years. There's no record, I looked all weekend, of you raising it until January this year specifically.
That's not true.
Oops. Busted. Her face paints 1,000 words, doesn't it? That's a look of someone saying, "Are you calling me a liar, Kemi?" But do continue with our reasons for not giving a fig about these victims at the time when you were in government. But do now, because it's a political tool to attack the Labour government with.
You raised it during the leadership contest last year, but the point I was making is that this is something which there was an inquiry. We didn't need to raise it. We thought the inquiry was dealing with it. And when it came out, we saw that more needed to be done. That's why the previous Conservative government set up the Grooming Gangs Task Force. But remember also, I was business secretary. I wasn't in the Home Office. This was a Home Office issue. But that doesn't mean...
You were Children's Minister and you said nothing in Parliament.
Yes,
you were Minister for Women and Equalities and you said nothing in Parliament.
I'm sorry,
about the issue of children and women being raped.
I'm sorry, I'm not on trial here. I was Children's Minister for 2 months while on maternity leave. So that doesn't count.
Yes, get out of jail free card for the reason why she never brought up grooming gangs while she was in Parliament for 8 years was she was on maternity leave for 2 months while she was Women and Equalities Minister. But do continue with your snowflakery victimhood, KemiKazi.
And this was not the remit there. There were other issues around children in social care which I dealt with. I think I spoke in Parliament once as Children's Minister. So if I may, I know that lots of people want to try and make this about me. This has got nothing to do with me.
Yes, stop making this about someone who conveniently positioned and gulper fibs between victims of these horrific crimes, while draping everyone in the Union flag to look all patriotic to all those flag shaggers at a press conference she probably set up herself to use these victims as a political tool. Yes, Channel 4, how dare you make it about her? But do continue to pretend to care about these victims, Kemi.
This is about the victims and the survivors.
The question is, there wasn't enough work done, was there? You were Minister for Women and Equalities. You have talked about rape on an industrial scale. The vast majority of victims are women. You have said that it was white working class girls who were targeted.
Yes.
There's your equalities issue. I'm just curious as to why this was not more of an issue for you.
Exactly. During your time in Parliament, Kemi, you did nothing.
If there's an inquiry in another department that's looking at it, then that's what's happening. And of course, it wasn't until after the inquiry that we discovered this. Things were done post that, the Grooming Gangs Task Force, asking why I, as business secretary, remember the equalities, Excuse me.
But do continue with your victimhood. And also, why don't you bring in some culture wars to attack the trans community as well?
The Equalities Minister was a secondary role. There was a lot that I was doing on puberty blockers, stopping children from being sterilised at a young age. There was so much that I did on race as an issue, the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities. So please, I'm not going to take any lectures from people who want to pretend that I didn't do enough. I did every single thing I could within my power to help women, children, and those of an ethnic minority background.
As you say, it was rape on an industrial scale.
Yes, but this was something
we've known about since 2010.
Thank you. This was something that had an inquiry, and the details of the inquiry came out. We did what we could. I have said it wasn't enough. Even before I became leader of the opposition, I spoke about it. But what I'm not going to do is what you're doing, which is trying to make this about me. You have not spoken once about those survivors who are sitting outside this room who have come to me asking for help. I think that that is a shame. This is what happens whenever young people, vulnerable people, women have an issue.
That grin tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? I get the feeling that she's thinking, you've got some brass neck to play the victim on a subject like this. When you were in Parliament for 8 years, you did nothing, never mentioned it, and showed no interest because your thing was culture wars, attacking the trans community and anything woke.
It then starts to turn into a political point. I am here to make sure that those girls get justice, and I will not be put on trial for something which I am speaking about. And right now, I'm the only senior politician who is actually raising this issue again and again.
I have spoken to many, many victims over the last 20 years, and they have heard promises before. Why will this be different?
Thank you. 20 years ago, I was at university. 5 years ago, I was a minister for children, helping those in social care. Now I'm leader of the opposition. And I'm saying that I'm somebody who has always stood up for women and girls. They can see what I did, making sure that we stopped what the Scottish Government was doing with Section 35.
What's the Scottish Government and Section 35 got to do with the fact that during the last 8 years of your time in government and in Parliament, where you didn't utter a single word about this subject, Kemi? But anyway, this is the main reason for this line of questioning.
I stand by my word. I do what I say. So people can trust me on my record. But this needs to be dealt with by the Labour government. Conservatives, I know you may have missed it, Conservatives are not in government anymore. What is the Labour government doing?
For 15
yes,
years.
and I've told you what we did to you.
Successive governments have failed. We agree with that,
successive governments have done things that have not been enough. An inquiry was put out, the ICSO inquiry, the one done by Alexis J. We saw that not enough was done. We set up a grooming gangs task force. The previous government is gone now. What can we do today?
Okay,
That's
it's
what we need to deal with.
It's important that survivors are not given false hope because they've been given false hope many times before.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, slap my thighs and call me Doreen. I totally agree with Kemi Badenoch here. That's exactly what she's trying to do. Give the victims of these horrific crimes false hope. Because if she didn't want to give them false hope, she would have spent more of her 2 months as Women and Equalities Minister, make sure these victims were given the justice they deserved, instead of playing culture wars and attacking the trans community and attacking anything she disagreed with as woke. And let's be honest here, all these victims that she used as a political pawn to attack the Labour government, as solicitor Amy Clowry said, are being used to play tit-for-tat politics.
Tit-for-tat politics, where one party is criticising the other party for failure to act, is not helpful, and actually just makes survivors feel as though they're just being let down again because the focus is on what the Conservative or the Labour Party has or hasn't done, and actually they need to be working together to make some changes.
Exactly. These political games that they're playing are letting the survivors down, and thank God for a sensible voice, eh? Instead of the unhinged rants from an irrelevant leader of the opposition who never showed any interest in these victims who were let down by a government she was in, but now finds it politically advantageous for her now. So those victims who think that an irrelevant opposition leader who's using the same lines that Power Stan Sads used in 2018 when they were in government at the time to ask for the same thing that Kemi Badenoch is asking for in 2025, and showed no interest as Minister of Women and Equalities at the time, because culture wars and attacking anything woke and the trans community was far more important to her politically than bringing you justice. Don't be surprised if this happens.
It's important that survivors are not given false hope because they've been given false hope many times before.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? She's just playing political games and knows all she's doing is just giving them false hope? Let me know down below and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.